Okay, guys, we are live. Welcome to Tone Talk with Mark Uzansky and Dave Friedman. And we have a special guest tonight, Phil McKnight from Know Your Gear. How you guys doing tonight?
I'm good.
doing good. Yep.
Cool, cool. Phil, it was good seeing you at Summer NAMM.
Yeah, right? I enjoyed it a lot. It was my first one there at Summer.
Yeah, hot, huh?
yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm in Arizona. I'm in Phoenix.
Oh,
So it was 115 when I left.
yeah, but it's a dry heat.
Oh, but it's a dry heat. Yes.
That's what they all say, right?
Yes.
It's a dry heat. Yeah.
Yes.
So
That's funny. Well, thanks for joining us. And Dave, it was great seeing you at the show also. Thanks for letting me pick a couple spots and sit at the booth there and hang out with you.
yeah, I wish I could have traveled around with you more, but that wasn't in the. Guess that wasn't in the cards.
Unfortunately, yeah, you were tied to the booth.
You were working. Every time I saw you, you were. It's like not only were you talking to people, you had a line of people to talk to you. That's why every time I went by the booth, I'm like, I'm just going to keep going. The line was just, because everybody was just, you were just working.
Well, it was just the two of us too doing the booth. Normally, like in LA and stuff, we have more people that can mind the booth a little bit while I can talk to people, but that wasn't really the case. So that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I felt actually, it was funny because after, I thought about this after I left actually, which was like, wow, I wonder if Dave just wanted me to hang around the booth and give you a chance to walk around, but I would have not, I was like, I could not. You. Okay. Because I felt bad. I'm like,
yeah, no. I told you, I go do some Facebook lives yourself. You just go around, because I'm not, it doesn't look like I'm leaving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's definitely what happened. So, but it's good. There was a lot more traffic on Saturday than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, Saturday was really busy, actually. Yeah, but public day though, isn't it?
Yeah, they were selling tickets to public, and I didn't pay attention. So when I was walking around at 3 o'clock, and they're like, "We're closing in an hour," I'm like, "They closed early?" I had no idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, 10 to 4.
Yeah, we were happy about that. I mean, by the third day, and everything hurts, and you don't want to talk to anyone anymore, really, and it's even worse in Anaheim. But yeah, you're just like going, wow, 4 o'clock, great. Let's get out of here.
Yeah, time.
But
we're ready to roll.
Not really, because then we have to sit there and wait for our pallets of boxes to come out.
And how long did that take?
Which that was fun. The first we had 5 pallets, and 4 of them came out relatively quickly, like within an hour or so, hour and a half. But then
after
the 5th,
show, so around that now, it's like 5:30.
Yeah, but then the 5th one didn't come out for yet another hour or more.
Oh.
And we needed the 5th one to finish, so we were just all like, "Oh, really?"
That's crazy.
It was on a different truck or something, and because it went in after some of our other pallets, and so we waited.
Now the heads were in that road case. So did you guys just lock that, pack that road case up as is? Go.
The road case just packed up and went on the pallet. That was the easy part of our side of the thing, but we didn't have that much to pack up. Except
so you're talking about the boutique amp stuff as well, right? You had to pack all that up too as well.
Yeah, I mean, well, we had other people there. I mean, it was like Wampler was doing his area, and the other guys were doing the middle one. Dave and I were mostly taking care of the Friedman section and all the guitars. But there was 8 guitars to pack up or something, or 9, and then all the amps, the rest of the amps and cabinets and 4x12s and all that stuff.
So I'll tell you the first thing for me going there. Now, Dave, you knew going in, and Phil, I don't think you knew going in, or maybe you did, was the size of the show compared to Winter NAMM. And for me, I had only seen Winter NAMM, so I had expected this massive. Even when we walked into the convention center, I was like, "Oh, cool! This is this is similar to what I was expecting." And then we get to the floor, and I'm like, "Okay, where's the second floor?" And they're like, "No, this is it." And I was like, "Oh, really? Really? There's not a second floor or a third floor, or And they were like, "No, this is it." So I was like already done by like the first day for the most part. And you said the same thing, Phil.
Though, when you really think about it, though, if you take out DJ stuff and recording equipment, because there wasn't hardly any recording equipment or anything at this show. If you take out your DJ equipment, your recording equipment, your large PA equipment vendors, you take out some of the frivolous saxophone vendors and things, and you're left with probably a hall, maybe at LA a hall and a half or something worth of guitar stuff.
Plus all the Chinese import companies, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
there's a lot of those. They don't come. Yeah.
Yeah, that whole bottom floor is almost all Chinese, import companies, and a few cool things, but not that many. So you can eliminate, Hall A completely, pretty much. You can eliminate the bottom hall pretty much, the drum hall, except for the guitar vendors.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, what was really different about it? So I've been to 13 of the winter ones, NAMM shows, and this is my first summer NAMM.
Mm-hmm.
And I always heard it was smaller. So, but then I heard it was more intimate. So I decided to go. But what I was not shocked, but what I didn't expect was the production is smaller. So like your booth, everybody's booth is physically smaller, not only in what's available, right, but in the production. It's not all like over the top with cool walls and lighting and all that stuff, right? It's more streamlined.
Yeah.
So that adds, which I don't know if that's worse or better. It's kind of like the analogy I made to my buddy was, it's kind of like when you go to a really big zoo, they have the same amount of animals. You're just walking twice as much to go to bigger cages.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
right?
It is true. That's very true.
So it was kind of fun to be able to see it more in succession, just one booth after another, and actually see the stuff versus have that production, which is the wow factor, but it really doesn't have any relevance to the gear. It just has the relevance to the, the wow, that's a cool booth.
Exactly. So in that case, it's like it's like going to a small little restaurant instead of a big commercial one. Chances are you're going to get better food.
Right.
Yes.
The smaller places usually have better food. That's true.
Yeah.
But I was impressed. I was impressed with the show. I thought it was, from a guitar perspective, there was a lot of great stuff there. It had a lot of, big name people. It was definitely more in terms of artists. It was more slanted towards the country music kind of slant of guys who were there, which is cool. I saw Brent Mason, Guthrie Trapp, Johnny Highland. They were all hanging out. So when I was standing with, Rob Welch?
Yeah.
So he used to be with Guitar Center, and now he's with EHS America, or I forget what company he's with, but Mapex and everything. We saw Rick Derringer walk by, which was pretty cool. But yeah, it was fun. I had a good time. And I know I have my picks of products that I thought were pretty good. But Phil, I saw you did a video earlier that you released, your 10 kind of products that you were, that you thought were the highlights of the show.
When I go to the NAMM shows now, when I do the videos, because I think the Tone King does great, like booth videos, going to the booths. I think he does that really well. And so all I want to do is, I started this idea where when I go to the NAMM show, I want to look at it like a fashion show. What's coming, right? What's the new trends? What are new colors? What are new things? Like, why are the manufacturers gravitating towards something, right? So I started this in the winter NAMM. So I did another video like that about this NAMM, just what was new and what was being released that was new, right? Because the summer NAMM doesn't have a whole lot of new product get released,
Yeah, generally not.
That's true.
Yeah. Our industry the industry is backwards. Like we don't release right before Christmas, we release right after Christmas.
Well,
so
that's true.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. So
we try to release at Christmas. Doesn't always work out that way.
But the product cycle is even if you're talking about NAMM and winter NAMM, that's in January, right? But the products don't get released until months later anyway.
Yeah, of course, right? Usually around summer NAMM.
Yeah, exactly.
By the way, we have 2 pedals coming out in this next month.
is one of them Dirty Shirley? Hopefully.
Yep. Dirty Shirley pedal and the Buxom Boost pedal, which is a super cool. Boost anything pedal. The
Dirty Shirley pedal. I tried it at the Winter NAMM, and I forgot who I talked to at your booth, but I was like, when is this coming out? And he's like, oh, a couple months. I'm like, all right. And each month I've just been like, okay, this month. And then what's worse is you released a couple pedals after the NAMM. So I get an update and I'm like, this is it. Not yet.
No. I'm sorry.
It's all right.
Psych.
But
yeah.
But I'm very excited about that pedal because I really like the BeoD, except for it's got a lot of gain. Yeah. And when I played the Dirty Shirley, just a little bit of that, that top end fizz was removed. Yeah, it's just perfect. It's right in that sweet spot that I love.
Yeah. I mean, the BE was supposed to be that. It was supposed to be, oh, yeah, you say I don't have enough gain. Here you go. That was supposed to be that. But the Shirley pedal is it'll still do a good amount of gain, but it will it's a lot more classic sort of sounding. So. Yeah, you heard it,
Yeah, it sounds amazing. You know what it is? It punches you in the gut. It's got that throat, right? Where the BE is the BE is where when I'm playing, that's what I want it to sound like. You know what I mean? Because it's just saturated and great. But the Dirty Shirley is what I really need it to, right? Because that's where you get more of that punch. Right?
More,
it's just,
more realistic and
Yes. Yeah. So I'm glad. I'm excited it's coming out.
Yeah, that's really good. And, actually, you'd be surprised the boost pedal, too, is really great. So if you have anything that, is already dirty and you just want to send it over the top, tighten it up or not tighten it up or boost the bass or boost the mids or cut the treble or boost the treble, whatever you want to do with it, it'll do it.
I'm sure.
Sounds killer for that.
I'm sure I'll get it. You're whether it's deliberate or coincidental marketing structure is amazing. It's like you have gateway drugs all over the place. Like I just recently, I bought the Runt 20 and I love it. And Mark can tell you, I've texted you a couple times, right? I'm like, I'm thinking about getting the PT 20. And he's like, oh, I really like the Runt 20. I said, yeah, I have that one. I'm thinking about getting the PT 20. And then I bought one when I was out, because at the NAMM show, I was splitting the days in half. Half the day we go to the NAMM show, half the day we're hitting all the music stores in town.
Oh, okay.
So when I was out, I got a PT-20. They had to ship it because I couldn't take it on the plane, or at least I wasn't crazy enough to try and take it on the plane.
Everybody wants to do that. We all think about that. Like, can I get it on the plane? What can I? I know I was thinking about that. What can I get on the plane?
The guys at the music store were like, they'll let you take it on the plane. I go, I am not going to. I just had to explain to airport security what my toothbrush was. I am not going to try to explain a tube amp in the middle of right?
Yeah, you essentially want to walk onto the plane with nothing.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
If you could legally do it naked, that would probably be best because they. Really. I literally will dress in a pair of shorts and a t-shirt with nothing at all in any pocket or no jewelry, no nothing.
Yep.
And you still get stopped.
And we need to check your one leg of your pants. I don't know what you're checking because there's nothing there. It's like, really? I literally go out of my way to make sure that I have nothing, just so it's easier. But no.
Me too. Cause it's just, right. They always find something. I am the jinx. Every time they always have a question for me about something silly.
Yeah. Right.
Like, do you ever travel with a guitar?
I not, because I'm afraid to. Although I know they'll let you carry it on and stuff. Mm-hmm. Like Dave was saying, I will try to. I will literally streamline everything. I'll wear Vans because there's no shoelaces.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
This is the best way to do
there
things.
You go. Yeah.
And mostly because when I fly a lot from here in California, so it's short flights. So I don't want it to be a hassle because, you know what I mean? If it's an hour flight, I don't need an hour session with the TSA.
Yeah. You know, the funny thing is I went through this one TSA guy and I'm like going, why is it that every time I go through this, you go, I think we have to check your right leg or something, you know? I'm like going, why? He goes, all I know is I've had to do 6 full body searches today. And I just looked at him and go, I'm sorry. He goes,
Yeah.
I've come to terms with it. That's what he said to me.
Yeah.
I'm like going, okay.
He's asking himself, is this my life?
That was one of the good TSA guys, the funny ones, you know?
That's funny. At least someone has a personality instead of they're yelling at you.
Yeah, exactly.
I always seem to get the ones that just want to assert their authority.
Yeah.
You know, I was traveling recently for work, and I have this suitcase, and she says, "Can you put it into the bin to test to make sure it's going to fit?" And I literally travel every week with this same suitcase, or every other week, however often I have to fly, which is a lot. And I use the same the same suitcase, and I know it's going to fit. I'm like, sure. I put it in there, and it fits. And then she says to me, well, can you zip up the sides for me, please? Because it kind of was one of those expandable ones, or whatever. And I'm just like, oh my God, really? Like, exactly. Okay. Like, I just want to strangle you now. And that's in the line of everything, just kind of like, really? Why are you bothering me? And it fit. Everything was fine. So that's the stuff I get. But
depends on what airport, I've noticed too.
Yeah, that's true too.
It's like LA airport, they just give you hassles everywhere. I think, or at least, and then I don't understand, at Los Angeles LAX, Delta has moved terminals, and they've moved terminals to Terminal 2 and 3 now they used to be 5 or something. So what I don't understand is how crappy Terminal 2 and 3 is right now. I mean, it's like they're remodeling. I guess it's going to be okay, but it was really old and really not remodeled, and right now you're dealing with that. And it's just, I'm like going, this is horrible. I mean, why did they move? I don't understand. This is horrible. And they have a ton of traffic. So I don't quite understand yet. Yet one of the nicest airports in this country is Detroit. Believe it or not.
Really?
It's a really new airport, and it's literally one of the nicest airports in the country that I've ever been to. You just kind of want to live on that airport. It's okay. I gotta be here for a while. That's fine. I got stores. I got food. I got bars. I'm good. I get a massage. I can check into the hotel there's a hotel that actually goes right to the terminal. Like, you can walk out of the terminal into the hotel. Like, not outside, not through anything, right into the hotel.
Yeah, they have that at Philly with the Marriott.
Yeah, it's a Westin at this one. So
nice. Yeah, that's always good. You don't even have to go outside. Just walk from the terminal into the hotel.
Yeah, and then they have their own bag check too, or security check. So you can go from the hotel right in through their security.
Oh wow,
yeah,
that's cool.
Kind of cool.
Interesting. Well, I'm going to jump into the chat and say hi to people if you don't mind. We've got 34 people watching. Quentin James is here. How's it going? He said it was 8 in Kentucky. No, you weren't here early, man. We were a couple minutes late. Cran X, Jared Frost, Paul Belland. And if I miss any questions, guys, let me know. Or if you guys have any questions for Phil or for Dave, let me know. Blackie DH, Michael Bishop, Michael Collings. Speaking of that, Collings Guitars, that guy passed away recently. I heard that. That was sad news. Peter Schaefer, Adam EVH, Brian M. I think I already said hi. Sinner, what's going on, man? BVinja or BV Ninja, Austin Steel. He says, I'm really looking forward to the Dirty Shirley pedal, if I could speak. Hang on. Let's see. Austin Steel. Try having hip replacements at 28. Oh, no, that's not good. I don't have that. Jaden James. What's up, guys? I think I've gone through. If there's any questions, guys, if you have any, let us know. So I know from the products that I got a bunch of cards here that I picked up, and for products, if you were, Phil, you picked a bunch of products, 10 products that you liked.
Well, they were the products that had done something new. You know what I mean?
Oh, something new, right? Okay,
yeah.
There you go.
So because the problem is the problem is now that my channel's like 2 years old, if I keep picking all the stuff I like, it's gonna get a little silly because it's gonna be the same 10 things, right? So I try to go. So today's video was 10 unique or innovative products, something new that we hadn't seen yet, because you can imagine, as we all know, the longer you do this, the longer you play this stuff, the more you just realize this is what I need. You know what I mean? It's this guitar, this amp, this is what I'm comfortable with.
Right.
And so, yeah, otherwise you get in that broken kind of like, so yeah, so that's what those products today. They were just something interesting somebody put out. And more importantly, it was because I didn't expect to see anything new at the NAMM show. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean they did really there were some new guitars, there were some new releases here and there,
right?
But in terms of innovation, that I agree with you. That it was kind of cool to see some of those products too.
Yeah, the my favorite thing at the show was that Pure Tone output jack. Did you see that?
I did see that.
It's fantastic. It's somebody decided to take the standard Switchcraft input jack, right? That has the arm that touches and they put another arm on the other side so it pinches from both sides, and then they put two micro arms on the ground. So it's basically got 360 degrees of the cable is being pushed on, right?
Right.
Which I thought not only is fantastic for guitars, but fantastic for amps because the weight of the cables, pulling on, right?
Yeah.
It was just, and really simple idea, right? Just increase the, and so simple. And to be honest and be fair, I didn't mention the video, but there was another guy at the show who had another invention like it. And although I thought his was really good, his was a little bit more expensive and a little bit more involved. You know what I mean? So theirs was just straightforward.
Yeah, there's simple and cheap,
right?
Relatively inexpensive.
Because, and I'm sure Dave could speak on this probably better than anyone else. The one thing is, if you come out with a new product, that's great. But if it's twice as much as the normal product, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's only so much you can do. But he wasn't really commanding high dollar for the jack that I saw. Nothing crazier than what Switchcraft was charging.
I might have seen some of those, but is there a website for it or anything?
Yeah, it's here. It is. Hold on, let me give it to you right now. Hold on 1 second.
I wonder, is that patentable?
I don't know. I would
design
imagine, right? Because it's.
I've seen a couple different ones of these.
Yeah,
so,
see, me too.
So I'm waiting to see which one this is.
Okay, so here's what it is. It's called the Pure Tone. So the website is just puretonetechnologies.com.
Okay.
That's cool. Yeah, so it's a more secure jack. And did they say that it improves anything in terms outside of just the connectivity?
I can imagine there's probably some micro claim you could claim that obviously more contact, right? But looking at it from a repair, right side point of view, most the input jacks problems are just the cables, the weight. That's why we like the L-shaped cables, right? They stop that weight from pushing on that arm. So to me, putting 4 points of contact just seems pretty easy. You know what I mean? It's an easy idea.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I think there was I think this is the one I got a sample of, actually.
And there was another guy there that had one where his was like a circle and it had, but again, it's my repair brain, right? So when you repair guitars, one of the things I don't like is the what I call like the Ibanez style input output jacks, the one that's like a shaft where inside you can't get in there. So when they break, you can't see what's inside.
Yeah.
So I liked his because it added those 3 more parts, but it's also all where I can see it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if you have an issue, I can pull it out, you know, solder it off, put a new one in, because regardless of how good he can make the product better, it's still going to come down to some guy's got to rip one out of a guitar and solder one back on in between a song, right? And stick it back in the guitar. So
yeah.
So
yeah, this is like, I don't know if this is the exact one that I got a sample of, but there was another person that was doing something like this too that I might have got a sample of. Yeah, it's a good idea. Sure, absolutely.
Yeah, right. Just
cool. Yeah. Not about it. We have a question here. Paul Belland asks, is it really any different than a stereo jack? He wrote, I do like a thump when I jack on. I'm glad he said jack on instead of the opposite of that. But yeah, I mean, and it's not making this isn't one of those jacks that's silent when you put it in.
Here, we'll look at this. It's a little different because the tip is also doubled up. See, now in a stereo jack, you can wire it so that you can wire the ring and the shield to be ground if you're using it in a mono format, which holds the cable really well. But on this, also, the tip is doubled up. You know, whether that makes that much of a difference or not, it depends on the quality of the jack itself.
Right.
Yeah,
that's
so
true.
You know, it really does. But hypothetically, it might make a difference.
Yeah,
it might definitely make a difference in how it feels in holding the cable. So,
right.
So Quentin James, someone asked, is replacing an input jack easy? It was Brian M. actually, and it is really easy if you know how to solder.
Yeah, that's the big if right there.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. If you can solder, it's really just 2 points on each end.
Yep.
Yeah.
And nowadays, I always tell people, you got a cell phone, take a picture.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Take a picture of what it looked like before you started, and then when you start cutting wires or desoldering, just make it go back to what it looked like. Or better yet, if you mess it up and you take it to your local store, take that cell phone picture with you.
Yeah, exactly.
Because the guy there might not.
Yeah,
he might not know how to fix it either.
A few, not that many years ago, I remember when it dawned on me, like when I show people their new rigs that I built for them, right? Well, not that many years ago, it dawned on me. I go, so one client goes, I want to videotape this on my phone. And I'm like going, well, yeah, of course. But up until then, no one had done it.
Right.
And I wasn't even thinking about it, you know? And I'm like going, this is great. Just focus on my hands. I'll show you how it works, and I'll talk through it as we go. And then you can watch this 500 times if it takes you to learn how to use this MIDI pedal or whatever we're doing, you know, you can watch it ad nauseum if you want. But you're not asking me again. So
Right.
So this is great.
Have that one time and it's done. Exactly.
Yeah. So now that's a normal part. I just tell people, okay, just videotape this so you have it. You know.
Yep. No, that's a good suggestion.
Because everyone's different. Some people can learn stuff really fast, and they just have it in a minute. And other people, well, it takes them a tad longer.
Yeah.
You know, and it just like where they have that blank stare at you. They're just staring at you like you didn't get any of that, did you? So
that's funny. That's funny. So one of the products that Dave, that you had at the booth, you said they dropped off to you. and I thought it was really cool, was this from Reax. It's called the what is it called actually? The Axe Handler.
Yeah, that was cool.
If I can
saying that.
Do you see that right there? Where you can lean your guitar up against your amp.
They make those here in where I live in town.
Yeah.
Here in Phoenix. Yeah, they should be in Phoenix or somewhere Mesa, right? There. Does it say?
Gold Canyon, Arizona.
Yep.
Yeah. Those are pretty cool, actually. They're heavy weighted, and it works. Just some little thing that's really cool, I thought.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. When I showed it to my wife, she was like, "Why didn't we think of that? Damn it!"
Yeah, I know. That's what I said when I first saw it too. Damn it! That could have been a Friedman product.
Right.
Well, if I recall correctly, when I talked to those guys, they spent a fortune. They make those here. Right. So when I say they're from here, they make them here. So they said they spent a fortune on the inject mold machine, the process.
Wow.
Yeah.
They physically make it here.
They physically make those here. So I don't know how much, but you could imagine it wasn't a cheap investment to get the molds done.
No, it wouldn't seem like that would be a product that would actually physically be made here.
Nope, they make them not only in the U.S., they make them here in Arizona, right here.
Wow.
So
yeah, it'd be, and it's not a super expensive product. I mean, I found it on Amazon. You can go on Amazon, eBay, and I think it was like under $20.
Right. Well, that's why. That's how I know, because when I talk to them, you always hit somebody with, $20 is cheap and expensive depending on how you look what it is, right?
Yeah.
And so what they did, they gave the right answer. They said, yeah, but we make them here and we paid. And I'm like, right, you're recouping all your startup costs and you're making them here, and there's nothing wrong with that, and that's great. So $20 actually isn't ridiculous now, as opposed to maybe when it was a $2 Chinese part, thinking, you know what I mean, they're marking it up.
Yeah.
They're actually making them here, and they're working hard. And so, yeah, cool company, cool guys.
Yeah, they had some other stuff too that, like that were guitar handler things that were where you can not have to hold the guitar, where you can double up live and stuff like that, whatever you call those things. But the cool thing that I saw that Dave, you turned me on to was the aux.
Oh yeah.
Which I thought was super cool.
That was cool.
Yeah. It's a bit pricey, I have to say, Dave. I think the price is a bit high, but other than that, I thought the concept of everything was cool. Did you see that, Phil?
No, what is it?
Oh, you didn't see that? That was literally one of the most game changers at the whole show.
Okay, so what is it?
So essentially what it is, Universal Audio came up with this. Essentially, it's a reactive load box, plus it's an attenuator, if you want it to be, plus it has a wireless remote that you can remote to an iPad, right? And it has what they call dynamic modeled speaker emulation. What that essentially means is they have mics. You can blend mics. They have room mics. You can choose the room mic. They have various speakers that you can pick between. You can adjust the levels of each mic. They have also a setting for cone cry. So you can actually decide how hard you're hitting that speaker.
Oh, wow.
Because different volumes of amps will hit speakers differently, and the speaker will sound different. Right. So it's not like a static IR of a speaker cabinet, which is a static picture, so to speak.
Right.
So this, you really can create the sound that you want to create with the mics and on how hard you're driving the speaker and everything. And then you can actually just store it, and this is wirelessly. You can store it back into 5 user slots. Or if you're in the studio, you can just leave your iPad set up and do whatever. But if you're going to take it live or something, you have 5 user slots. Just simple knob too, not complicated.
Right.
You already stored your stuff, and you can just pick the one you're going to use.
So how much was it?
$12.99.
So not much more than what Two Notes is making, right?
Yeah, no, I don't necessarily, for what it is, and the fact that you have to remember it's not just a load box. It's a load box. It could also be an attenuator too. You can mix, you know, a little bit of your speaker cabinet in if you want, in like a live setting or even in the studio setting. You can, but the whole wireless remote with all this digital modeling of the cabinet, I mean, that's a lot. It does a lot. Cool. You know, it's not just a passive reactive load box, which is, you know, $400 or $500 value there. But
here's what I was thinking. So the Fryette power station, is about $700, $699, right?
Yeah.
And but that has a load. It's an attenuator, right? And a direct out.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have any IR or anything like that.
No.
So that's the one thing that's missing,
right?
So I thought to myself, all right, well, if you want to get some IR with that, then it's going to cost you another $300 anyway, or $400 to get, you know, some IR or a box or the blue box, whatever it is that you're going to get for IR. So it's probably about the same price anyway.
You're going to do that, but there's more to it than that too. I mean, that whole interface, not only on top of that, do you have all that mic selection and room mics, but you have also effects that you can add in. So you have like a great plate reverb if you want to add it.
Oh, that's true.
You have a few other things on there that are really high quality UA effects. And the interface looks like a UA mixer that they have in their interfaces and stuff. So just a small version of it.
And I don't
super cool box.
Yeah, see, I don't know if the Two Notes is really cool. I don't know if it will do attenuation, right? So once you plug into Two Notes, you're done.
Yeah.
So to me, the exciting thing is, I love the idea that it can be doing its thing, right?
Yeah.
Rather for recording for the audience, and I can bring up a little bit of my cabinet.
Yep.
Yeah, that's really cool.
It's pretty cool. I mean, I know the guy who did it really well, James at UA. I've known him for a lot of years, and I know he spent a lot of time on it, and I can't wait till he brings it over for me to really try it out. You know, I heard it at the show though. It seems to sound great. So
it sounded actually what they had. They actually had a plexi there, Marshall plexi that they dimed it right in front of me, and used it. And they were changing the mics and changing the speakers and the response and everything, and it sounded awesome. And they did the same thing to a twin reverb. Also dime the twin reverb, and which actually got a lot more gain than I actually anticipated. I was like, wow, that thing's pretty gainy, but it was pretty cool. It was a very cool product. Yeah, that was my pick, kind of my pick for there. The other thing that I liked was, which Dave, you told me about, was the Cusack Music pedals.
Oh yeah, they had a lot of good ones. Yep.
Yeah, I checked their stuff out after the problem as a lefty guitar player is that hardly anybody has any lefty guitars that I can try out their stuff. So I didn't really get a chance to try out anybody's pedals for the most part. But I checked it out afterward. I was intrigued by some of their pedals, and they had some really cool stuff. I don't know if Phil, if you saw their stuff either.
I did. And my problem is you can't hear anything. So I do a lot of blank nodding at booths when I'm at the shows, right? And back, this kind of segues to the Dirty Shirley. That's how come I know I like the Dirty Shirley. When I tried it, it was on Friday or Saturday. This is at the Winter NAMM. My ears were shot. The booth was this NAMM show for some reason sounded louder than any other NAMM show I remember. Right? It was just crazy. It was, and somebody in the booth asked me if I want to plug in and try it, and I was like, and I kept saying everything the same to everybody. I was like, no, I can't hear it. Never mind. And they suggested it again, and I plugged into it, and even in the room, I could tell that it had that punch. You know what I mean? It had that sound. But it is almost impossible to hear anything at the NAMM shows. And everybody said this show is quieter. It is, but it's still a Guitar Center on Saturday. On 10.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true.
So
it is hard. Dave, you were actually thinking when we were talking, I don't know if you want to talk about it here, but I thought it was a good idea to actually use the aux amp top box, at Summer NAMM. Basically people can listen to the amps and with headphones, and you don't have to worry about any volume issues.
Well, I mean, you don't get the same reaction, but at least you'll be able to like get a little volume on the amp, and you'll be able to hear a great representation of it with a little reverb and everything. In some respects, it might even sound better than sitting there dry in the room, real quiet.
Yeah.
I love that idea though, because then no one would be bugging us. Hey, could you turn down, please? Turn down. It's almost off.
Well, what's funny? What's funny was, so at the show this year, JHS pedals had headphone booths. Yeah, they had something set up, and at the Winter NAMM, there was a few people that were doing those kind of isolation booths with headphones.
Yeah.
And when you see that, you're like, yeah, this makes sense. We might as well just all go to this. Yeah. Because.
Yep.
Wampler
had it.
Wampler had it too. And at this point, just put the drummers all on their own floor, right?
Actually, the funny thing is this next Winter NAMM, the drums only will be in one room.
I was telling Brian at the show, right, when I saw him, and he said he hadn't heard that. And I said, I talked to somebody at the NAMM show, and they said next year they're putting everything together. They're putting all the groups together, right?
Yep.
And that's what somebody told me, and he said he hadn't heard that. So I'm glad you said that, because
supposedly.
Because that's, well, what's the worst is, especially at the Winter NAMM, I don't know how you draw the short straw to get there, but they put just a few of the guitar company booths in the middle of the drums. Like they just randomly.
Oh yeah. There's a corner of the hall, whatever it is, C or D or C. And the corner. And in fact, several years ago, before we got bigger than we were there.
Oh, really?
We were in with Rock and Roll Relic guitars. And boy, that's fun being in the drum hall.
Was that back when? Now, was that back when? Because it used to be Boss had a giant booth on the other side of the drums. Was that then?
Yeah. Well,
so at least.
Maybe. No, I don't think Boss then. This was maybe 3 years ago, 4 years ago.
Okay. Yeah. So it's after that, because years ago, Boss used to have that side. They used to be on the other side of the drums. Right. And the only thing that was cool was, at least when you went to Bosch, you would find a couple of those guitar builder booths, right? Mm-hmm. But now, those guys are in limbo, because unless you're just for some reason randomly walking around the drum station or reading the map, you don't know they're there.
Yeah.
So, and then when you get there, it's so loud, you just can't wait.
Yeah, I guess they're going to never mind. You know what I'm saying? I guess they're going to put all the groups of people together. So the guitars will be all in one hall or something, and then the
makes sense
recording equipment will be in one hall, or PA kind of stuff will be separated. That makes the most sense. That'd be great.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. I felt bad for J Rocket Audio, the pedals. They were downstairs on that like lower floor in Winter NAMM
dungeon.
Yeah, in the dungeon with like all the it was like all the, like you said, all the Chinese, distribution companies. And
we call it the Metronome Forest. When you go there and there's just nothing but rows of metronomes going. You know how they, what I'm talking about. They do that. You just walk by and they have like 80
tuners.
Metronomes. Yeah, and tuners going for no reason.
Yeah, tuners and cheap copy mics and. Yep.
Yeah, but J Rocket was like right there. I'm like, what are you guys doing here? Like I kind of felt bad for him. But this year they had a good spot, and Guthrie Trapp was playing, who's a really good player. But the most impressive player that I saw there was Brent Mason.
He's amazing.
That guy he's a monster.
That guy blew me monster, blew me away. I was like, oh my God, just just crazy. Yep. So good. So what else? What were some other highlights for you, Phil? I have some others.
So the show was really cool. I'm trying to think what else I liked. I mean, there was some cool stuff for sure. But like you said, it was kind of small. You know what I mean? So
you had 10 things you said. I haven't seen your video.
Oh, okay. So well, of those,
okay,
so of the 10 things, there was obviously that Pure Tone. There was, well, you know, I got excited because there was a guitar company there called Vintage Guitars, which makes low price imports, but it's Trev Wilkinson. And so it was nice to talk to him, you know, right? And, you know, I like the Fret King guitars, and I like what he did. He designed the Supro guitars. I like what he did for those guys. So I thought that was cool. I liked Graphtech's new variable ratio tuning keys. Did you see that?
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah. So they got a 2-for-1er on those. So not only are they came up with a formula that each tuner has a different gear ratio based on the string that it's tuning, which was really, really cool. But they also came up with kind of like Hipshot having the ump plate, those plates that go underneath so you don't have to drill holes.
Yeah.
They came up with a variety of those plates. So they fit almost every situation. So if you have a Gibson Les Paul that you love with Kluson tuners, you want to yank those off, you put the plate on, you put their variable gear ratio on there. You don't have to drill any holes. You don't have to mess up your Les Paul, kill the resale value by drilling a bunch of weird holes in it. So I thought that was really cool, right?
Oh, cool.
Especially because, yeah, I'm kind of interested in the idea, right? Yeah, I'm not sure what that really means or does overall, right? I've never tuned my guitar and thought, oh, this one's too loose and this one's too tight, you know, based on the string. But I could be missing it totally. What else was cool? There was, you know, it's funny, I did the list and now I'm spacing it. There was
the HP guitars from let's talk about
the HP2 guitars. You know what's funny was I didn't really care about the guitars themselves, and I think I said that in the video. What I was interested in was two things. One, I'm just happy to see Peavey make anything in the US again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And because I've always liked Hartley and Peavey in the idea that they were the working man's product, right? They're the Ford pickup truck, right? It's not sexy, it's not cool, but it does the job. And I understand in a world where everybody goes to China, why they had the appeal to go to China, but a lot of the companies that went to China, and sadly enough, had brands to take with them. You know what I mean? Fender and Marshall, they'll play in China, but they have a brand to keep that loyalty going. And I think the Peavey customer is more fickle. I think they're not willing to let Peavey be like everybody else, right? They expect better and less money, right? Which is why it's a tough game that he plays in, right?
Oh yeah. It became impossible for him to compete. You know, it's just the cost of doing business in the U.S. is a lot more, but he did it for a lot of years, though. Yeah,
well, he was last. How I look at it, he was pretty much last. Yeah. You know what I mean? To leave, right? Yeah. But if it's just a semblance, I'll take it. The idea that they were smart enough to go, hey, we have all these old parts in a warehouse, all these old necks, right? We're gonna make a bunch of guitars out of them. I thought, well, that's exciting, right? That's a conversation right there to have, right?
Yeah.
They were waiting. They were waiting for that patent or that trademark
to note to the classiness of it. You know, we all know used Peavey Wolfgang's fetching $1,500 all day long on eBay. So for them to release them at $1,500 was a class act because they could have put a more premium on that. Right? I think they could have pushed. Yeah, because you know they're limited.
They're $1,500.
Yeah, they're $1,500.
The solid colors. The solid colors are $1,500. Right. Yeah, the trans colors are going to be $19.99, I believe.
Right.
Yeah, but that's still so at 19. Think about this. At 19, that's still $1,200, $1,100 less than EVH's product line.
It's at very least a grand less than anything that EVH is putting out of the US. That's for sure.
Yes.
So it's now. What didn't you like about the guitars themselves? Because again, as a lefty, I couldn't pick. Go ahead. Sorry.
No. It wasn't that I don't like them. I was just explaining my excitement level and where it comes from. It's not the guitar. It's not that I'm excited there's another Wolfgang or there's a competitor Fender or any of that stuff. It was more of a, I feel like Peavey has just been a blunder of bad decisions over the last 10 years. And I think their existence is solely because of people remembering how great they were. Does it make sense? So when I see them, I want to see more from them trying, because here's the thing. What we talked about, I think, is true, that they're the last one to go to China, all this stuff, but they've also killed out a lot of their competitors, right? They don't have to fight a lot of the brands that used to fight, like Crate and those guys are gone, right? Line 6 isn't gaining market share in low price amps like they were. So Peavey could come back and take that market, that low end mid price market back if they wanted to. Right.
So there's a couple things. One, I saw that they came out with, and I don't know if it was new, but I saw that they had a classic head, a tweed, looked like a classic 30.
No, it's the classic 20.
Classic 20 head, which I thought was pretty, so but the guitars themselves, what excited me about the guitar, not that, the price point was nice, but with the trans colors that they had, which were nicer than the option you get with EVH.
Yes.
Now, if EVH would come up with some really nice trans colors, then I would be really thrilled with that. But they're just not. So
no,
that's my thinking, at least.
Well, that's kind of the point, right? EVH, which is Fender. Fender doesn't have to try, right? So they're not going to do anything. So that's why I said it's kind of nice to see a company try to get out there and do something.
Right. Is it only a limited run of these guitars, or are they going to keep making them?
So they say they're going to keep making them. I didn't hear any words limited, but I kept hearing that they have right. Oh, I'm sorry.
That's exactly what I heard. That's what I heard.
They had the parts already
right
stock from the old guitars.
Yeah. So my first inkling was, well, maybe they're just going to run through their parts and call it a day. But I think what they're going to do, from what I kind of the vibe I got, was use this excitement, momentum, and money of selling these old parts and these guitars to establish that line and then continue to keep making them.
All I know is someone's pissed. Someone's pissed. That's all I have to say about it, really.
Yeah, but isn't that? But here's somebody else said that at the show, but this is the comment I made. But isn't that? Couldn't Fender and those guys? Couldn't you argue that Fender had been pissed at Peavey since the '60s, right? I mean, Peavey has been constantly. That's their market. They make. I mean, they were knockoff before there was knockoff.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. I mean, that's what they do, right? That's what value they brought to the table. If you couldn't afford a Fender amp, you got yourself a Peavey Classic, right? You gig with that. I mean, so
that's true.
And I don't mean any disrespect ever in that. It's just more of a, that's how I remember things.
Hey, the Peavey Classic amps are great.
Of course,
they were. I thought they were really, really quite good, actually.
Yes.
A 5150 amp. Look, that became the quintessential metal amp.
Yeah.
Which still is. It's a classic amp.
Yeah. Which is interesting. You can buy them all day long for like $500. Which is a lot of amp for $500, really.
Yes. Absolutely.
And I have to give it to them. They made those amps so cheaply on the inside, the circuit boards and everything. But yet somehow they don't break. It's perplexing. It's a slightly perplexing. It really they just keep working forever. It seems like I've repaired a few over the years, but hardly anything ever.
But that was really the Peavey mantra back then, right? Their stuff was, I mean, you could drop it, right? It was never built high quality, but yet durability seemed to be a factor, right?
Yeah.
And the 5150, what I like about it is this. It's kind of like the joke I make is if you have a millionaire and they have a collection of cars and there's a Ferrari and there's a Lamborghini, right? And there's a Mercedes and then there's this Chevy, Chevy pickup truck, right? It doesn't seem weird or out of place. It just seems like, oh, he wanted a truck. When I think of the big amps, I think of like the JCM 100. I think of one of the Mesa rectifiers. Doesn't matter which one. Yeah. Maybe the a Solo 100, right? Something from Soldano. The Brown Eye, right? Something like that. These boutique amplifiers. And then if you saw a guy with a row of these boutique amplifiers or these classic amplifiers and boutique amplifiers, if you saw a 5150 amp, it doesn't even seem weird. It just seems like, oh yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't seem weird.
Yet that amp costs nothing.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, I agree. That's their credit, and they should have. I think they should have kept that going, even though when they lost Eddie and all that stuff. I think that's the baseline they should have followed with, which is they make the product that's good, but it's cheap, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
but durable. I mean, the 5150 combo that I have is, I mean, that thing weighs like 90 pounds, and there's no point in trying to move it.
Oh my god! That was big and heavy, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
People ask me over the years, can you do a BE 100 combo? And I'm like, I did a few of them. You don't want to move it.
Right.
I mean, you really don't want to move it. I don't want to move it. It's something like an 85 or 90 pound combo. And,
right.
That's just kind of deadlifting it.
Well, I'm curious. So when you made your combo, did you make it like a traditional open back combo, or did you do, because the 5150, what's funny about that combo is it's isolated. The head is isolated from the cabinet. It's really just a 212 cabinet and head like glued together. Right?
Yep, that's what it is. No, we made it more like a blues breaker combo at the time. So it was like an open back combo. Yeah. So it's different.
Right.
But doing it the other way, it's too big. If you were going to do it that way, it's just, it's gluing two together. So you might as well have them separate. I'm not really sure the reasoning.
Yeah. Some guys like combos. They're just like, no, I want a combo. I'm not into the head cab thing. I'm like, I don't get it. It's just, like I was trying to explain to someone recently about the Run 20 and the 1x12. Like, well, maybe I'll just get the cab. I'm like, but why?
Yeah, no. The small little amp on top of the little 112, it works. Right. It's small. It's really easy to carry. You're not struggling in any way, shape, or form. And and the older we get, the older we get, the nicer that is.
Right, exactly.
Plus, there's the stigma. Beavis and Butthead, when they made fun of Winger, they ruined Winger, right? I mean, not that that was a great band by any means, but they became the butt of the joke of hair metal, right? Because of that show. I mean, the half stack has a stigma to it. You know what I mean? A lot of guys, when they play a show and they have a half stack, I mean, let's be honest. I think Joe Bonamassa, when he started playing heads and cabinets, maybe that brought a little of that back. But until then, there was definitely a heavy metal stigma to the half stack, no matter what it is. So a combo sometimes lets a guy go on stage and have, more of a blues or a rock vibe, just that stigma, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, and I only say that because I know people that have told me that, when I've sold a lot of amps, and when you sell amps, sometimes, you fight them. You're like, why? It's twice expensive to go the route you're going. And they're like, nope. It's because the visual is important sometimes too.
Yeah, no, I've heard that. I've definitely heard that with clubs. You walk in with a head in the cab, and they're like, "Oh, you're already too loud."
Yeah.
Turn that down. Turn it down,
please.
The other thing that I saw that I was talking to Yoshi Ikegami from Boss and Jeff Slinghuff over there at Boss. They came out with the Waza head, which last year they came out with that, which was a 150 watt head, or a couple years ago, and it was super expensive. They've come down in price, and now they have a 75 watt head, and the price is like $1,100 or something like that now, which was a much better price. Yeah, a much better price for. Again, it's still solid state, but it's. I don't know anything about the technology behind it, but I know that it's a higher end than what you would get with the Katana or something like that. But so I heard a guy playing through it, and it sounded great. So I was pleased to hear that. To see that product, and the price point there came down.
I don't know. I saw it. I saw the first one when they debuted at the NAMM show, and I didn't understand it. You know what I mean? It was like a $1,000 cabinet, and it was like a $1,500 head.
Yeah.
And I didn't.
I think the head was even more. I think the head was over 2,000.
Yeah, it was like over 2,000. Whatever it was so ridiculous. I was just like, you know, it's already a tough thing to try to get a customer to buy solid state, because solid states obviously are a lot of practice amps for solid states. So the impression is that they're cheap no matter how nice you make them. But I don't know. And so I look at it like, I don't know if this is a play to say, okay, all you guys out there buying Axe Effects and Kemper and stuff, you know, this is something.
That's where I was about to go. That's exactly where I was about to go.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. And it's hard because I don't ever judge anybody for what they like. If they like that, my reaction to it is I won't spend that kind of money on a technology. My experience with solid state amps is this simple. It's not that they're good or bad. It's just 10 years later, they're not worth anything. Right? They don't hold any value, because usually they get, you know, they get
trumped.
Dated. They get dated.
Yeah,
right.
Dated. Exactly.
Right. So I mean, so that's where it would have to really be the thing that blew me away. You know what I mean? It would. So I don't know.
No, that's a great point. That's a great point. I thought it was interesting that they were able to get the price point down. It sounded good.
Right.
So I thought that was kind of a cool product.
Well,
go ahead.
Oh, no, I mean, Boss makes great stuff. So we know they're not going to make junk.
Right.
Right. It's just, it's interesting. And I respect them, because at least they're staying consistent with what they do. They don't do tubes. So it's nice that they don't try to jump in that arena.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Right. So it's cool that they're going to try to put their thing on it. And where I may be wrong and missing it is, you know, there are some Boss loyalists out there, you know, right? I mean, I love Boss pedals. You know, I collect pedals and right. So, you know, it makes sense if you got a guy sitting there with a $900 or $1,000 worth of Boss pedals on his pedal board. Maybe he's like, you know, maybe I should just buy this amp.
Yeah.
So
it's possible. I don't even know if it has effects on it, quite honestly, but it was you know, it sounded good.
Yeah.
We were talking about that, and I know that they also just came out with a couple other pedals, you know, the modulation and
that was
stuff like that.
That was the 3 reissues. Did you see that, Dave? Yeah. They reissued the 3 pedals.
Oh, those 3 pedals, the reissue pedals.
Yeah.
Which ones?
So they reissued like it's like their anniversary, right? So they made a box set.
Yeah, it was a box set, the 40th anniversary. I think they have the OD one.
Right.
I forget the other 2 pedals. I can't remember.
There's a phaser, and then the other one was the weird one. It was red. I forget what it was. I've read it like 10 times, and I still can't remember what it is. And I think it's like $900 for the 3.
Oh, wow.
It was expensive. It came in like a collector's pack or box or something like that. It was a bit much in terms of pricing. I saw the comments on the post that Boss made when they put the thing out. I was like, oh, okay, there you go.
The $1 million trick is how many they make. That's where the price gets weird, because
it was supposed to be limited. It was limited. It was supposed to be like 1,500 points or something, you know. Pieces.
So the price only makes sense if it's like 100 or 40. It has to be really low, right?
Yeah.
Because then if you're, you know, I mean, I meet them. There are people out there that collect Boss pedals.
Sure.
Like all of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, vintage pedals. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
And think about this, you know, like I like to argue both sides because it's always fun, right? So I could argue that people would pay $900 for a limited edition box set of Lord of the Rings stuff. So Boss is no different to say, hey, we're releasing some nostalgic piece of our history to a limited people. The only thing that stinks about that stuff is if they make too many, a few people will buy it for that price, and the rest will just be littering Reverb and eBay for the next 2 years.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course.
That's true. That's true. Hey, I'm just going to jump back in the chat, and then I figure maybe we'll wrap up in just a few minutes. So we've got Quentin. He says, when Hartley went with Musician's Friend, he lost his local dealer support. I don't know anything about that, but you guys know anything about that?
So I can't tell you for sure. There was a thing where Hartley had said he would never deal with Guitar Center, which is Musician's Friend. And at some point they did, obviously, because they're in Guitar Center and they're in Musician's Friend. But my understanding is what happened to him was Guitar Center bought some chain of stores like Thoroughbred Music or something. Whatever it was, they bought a dealer who was $1 million dealer with Peavey. Right. And I think musicians, gear geeks don't understand the industry and the scope. They look at the rest of the world and they hear $1 million dealer and it doesn't seem to, like, so what? But to a company, if you're doing $1 to $2 million a year, right, and that just turns off, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like if you're doing $1 million a year with one particular company or more,
right?
You're just like, well, what can we make for you?
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
you know, you don't get that. You just don't get that. You know, and if you do have a you know, a dealer like a Sweetwater or something that is doing those kind of numbers, you're just like, okay, yeah.
Yeah, and so that's what happened when GC acquired it. They of course dissolved the store, but took the supply route from it, right? And so Peavey made the decision, and it upset a lot of dealers, because that was one thing the dealers were using, was they didn't have to fight the GC and the musician's friend, and the customers kind of found it as a downhole loyalty thing. And I don't know, I can't judge, because it's one of those things. I don't know their business, right? I don't work for Peavey, but it's one of those things where you don't know if it was literally like they made the decision and now they exist today, right? Or they made the decision and it hurts them a lot. You don't know what the ramifications are. Either way, they had to pick a choice, and that's the choice they made. But my guess is, based on everything Hartley's ever said in the past, it was a survival choice. I couldn't see any other way.
Well, here's another thing, you know, it like you lost your local dealer support. Also, we lost a lot of local dealers, period. I mean, they don't exist the same as they used to.
That's true.
Right.
Anymore. So you know, you become, as a company, you're kind of like, well, I have to sell through some of these larger dealers because I can't survive on the local dealers because there's not that many of them left.
Right.
So because they may have put them out of business, basically, you know.
Right.
Or the internet in general might have put them out of business. You know, it's like a brick and mortar store is kind of a little bit old in you know, business practice, so to speak. You know, it's like it's now becoming like we're buying everything online. You know, it's like you know, oh, I want that. Go online. Okay, I don't want to talk to anyone. I just want to go click, 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 and have it show up. House. Well, I know I do that.
Well,
you know?
perfect example is Friedman amps. You have to deal with Guitar Center, so they put you in the platinum rooms, right? The honest to goodness truth is, I didn't know what a Friedman amp was, right? And so what's interesting is when you made the PT20, right? And then later the Dirty Shirley, and then the Runt comes out. Each time, as a gear guy, as somebody who wants to buy this stuff, I'm like, this is perfect for what I need, right? But I don't know what that is. I just know that there's an expensive amp that I've never played that you make, right? And I don't have exposure to it. And where I live, there's a couple large music stores. I had a music store for 12 years, but none of us were stocking any of that stuff.
Yeah,
right. And you know, you go, okay, I guess I can just give it a shot, right? For $1,500, which you know, in your line of amps, that's entry level for you. But for practical purposes, $1,500 is still a lot of juice. It's a lot of money, right? And so you know, honest to goodness, if there wasn't a GC for me to walk in and give that a shot, you know, right, to hear it. And like I was telling you earlier, I think off the air, I bought the Runt. Now I just bought the PT, right? And same thing. I was in Nashville, and you know what it was? In Nashville, there was actually, it was a Guitar Center again. That had them, but at least they had some. They were actually the only Guitar Center, or they were the only store that had enough cabinets for me to mess with. They're really good there because they have a great sales guy there, Tony Higbee, that also plays with Tom Kiefer in his band, and but Tony's like an A+ sales guy, so he which is a rarity generally speaking at a Guitar Center, right? So but he caters to all the pro guys and stuff in town, and so he takes care of them all.
So they got a good selection.
They have a good selection, They were getting amps before we were officially in Guitar Center too. So we had struck a deal early on with them that they could just buy them directly just for that store.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, that was good.
Yeah, but to your point, Phil, it would be almost impossible to try a Friedman amp had it not been for them being in Guitar Center.
Right.
And
absolutely.
Even that's, and the same thing for me. I mean, Dave, the first time I tried a BE was at Guitar Center in the Platinum Room here in Hallandale Beach, Florida. So, but but that's but do you think that eventually it's all going to go to online sales, and we're not going to have the Guitar Center is going to go away? Sam Ash. I mean, that's basically all I've got around me.
That remains to be seen. I think, being in business as a store these days, a brick and mortar store, is a little rough.
It is.
We'll see.
It's sad too, because what am I going to do with my Saturday afternoons when I'm like, honey, I'm going to go run to the Guitar Center. I'll be back. I won't have any place to go.
You'll spend it online on the keyboard. Well, I'm going to buy that. Click.
Right. Yeah.
It's
true.
It's possible that it stays the same, which is the mom and pop stores right now are focused on low price product, right? Yeah. Entry level instruments to get people started
and lessons,
right? And that business model probably will sustain them for the next 20 years. Because, but the sad thing is, my comment about this is really like the best is Blockbuster Video, right? They go, but there are DVD rental stores in the country. They're usually in areas where there's not a lot of internet, either rural or in lower income areas where people don't use credit cards as much to buy, right? I mean, there's people that on payday get their check, cash it, and start spending. So they go to stores and they rent a DVD. They don't do it online. And so I think music stores will follow that same vein. They'll have to. Areas that are not predominantly using internet to buy all their purchases, they'll have that source. People that still want lessons, right, will do lessons and then entry-level stuff. And then I think that will sustain. And then I think what might happen, which will be exciting, is Guitar Center will definitely keep focusing. I mean, let's be honest. Guitar Center, you're their only high-end amp. When I just went to like 6 in California. I went to the one in Nashville, the ones here. You go in their Platinum Room, they put a couple Supros in there, and then they put your stuff. Oh, and the Morgan stuff. Right. Okay. Yeah. So, which I'm sure is on that same distribution, right? So, but they're not loading in. I don't see any Mike Soldano amps in there. I don't see any Bogner stuff. Right.
Unfortunately, with all the financial problems with GC, over time, it's increasingly harder for them to get them to buy certain products and stock certain things, and there's a lot of people that just don't want to go to that store.
Oh, of course. Well, well, you go there because you have no choice. It's like Walmart.
Yeah. You can go there because you have no choice, exactly. And a lot of people would prefer to buy from someone else. But it's kind of funny. It's like I think the real problem kind of comes down to maybe their sales staff and stuff. Really, it's just like the turnover of sales staff is so great. People don't stay around. They don't even know what products they have in the store. Yeah. They don't even know. Yeah. They don't. The amp's got a layer of dust in the corner. And they don't know anything about it. And even if you train people, those people leave, and then
right.
You don't. I mean, the way you sell product is someone that's a salesman's excited about the product, and wants to sell it to people. And that's that's hard in certain.
But on the positive note, there are stores like Steve, who owns Wildwood Guitars.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. I mean, those stores. So that's why I think this is my prediction. It's just prediction. I think the mom and pop entry-level market will continue to shrink, and then it'll sustain. It'll just get to a point where they need to satisfy that market. People want to get into instruments. They can't go on Amazon because they don't even know where to start. So they go in there. And then the GCs will focus on what they do right, which is the mid-level product lines. And then there'll be a bunch of guys with money right? And like Steve or Teddy, who owns Making Music, or insert all those guys here, and they'll do just the boutique.
Right.
Because
True.
right, and because the reason I say that is that where I think the mix bill hurt them the most. The internet hurt the mom and pops, but speaking from a person who had a mid-sized store, what hurts you is when you were the old days, pre the internet, you would go from top to bottom, $99 entry level products and lessons, all the way up to Paul Reed Smith's boutique amps. The problem was your customer base. People would dream. Some of your customers who are in your $200 and $300 price range, they play your $3,000 guitar, right? That's just how it works. You have to live with that as a business, okay? And they need to try that stuff, so they know they want it later, right? But overall, when that high-end sale starts slimming down, it gets worn down because there's many people still try it, right? The trying doesn't slow down, just the buying, right? Yeah. So when I look at like Wildwood Guitars or any of those business models, they're ingenious because, Music Zoo. Oh yeah, there's right. There's so many good stores, right? And well, when I was in Carter's, I'm wearing the shirt right now. Carter's Vintage Guitars. I was in there. What's nice is you'll still go in there. There's still people go in there that don't have money or buy lower price guitars and dream and play. But those stores are focused on a higher end market, and they'll be able to sustain because of that. Yeah. Right. So like I said, I think that's what I'm getting at. Is I think my prediction is the store models will stay. They'll shrink, but they'll go into two markets. There'll be a high end market and a low end market.
And maybe there won't be the big chain store. Yeah.
Well, no, the chain store will be there.
I wonder, do you always see this about GC? It's just, I wonder if GC will be here forever or not. I don't know. It sure opens the door really wide for a lot of people then.
Yes.
And
it does.
Well, think about
Sam Ash.
Well, think about this. Where I live, GC there's 5 of them in Phoenix, right?
Yeah, that's crazy.
And they've actually cannibalized themselves. Their Mesa store opened and did so much damage to their other Tempe store, right? Like they literally became their own hindrance.
Yeah.
Right.
Too many stores, too bloated.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see. I guess it'll all see what will pan out.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, GC's been good to us, so hope. I wish them the best.
I hope so too. I mean, like I said, I like going to the stores. I like on a whatever day it is. I'm like, I'm gonna head out and they have used gear too.
Yeah.
I've gone on their used gear site. I found a couple used pieces that they just shipped from another place. Yeah, that Marshall that I got right back there. I got that from a used sale on.
Yeah, no, it's good. I mean, like I said, GC can be really good, especially in some of the markets. They're good store.
Yeah.
Yep. So let me just jump back into the chat, and then I think we're going to wrap up, Phil, if you don't mind. I got to make it an early night tonight.
No problem.
So just say hi. I know Johnny Beam was in there. He said something about a Boss pedal, and now I can't find what it was, but there was a particular pedal that he was saying that it's hard to find. There's a couple guys who are referring to me as the cap guy. Who's the cap guy? Who's the guy with the gray hair? I guess we have some new people who don't know who we are. So nice to meet you. Let's see if there's any other questions before we roll. We got Matt Johnson, Tommy McDermott, BV Ninja says Phil is on a roll. Let me see if there's anything else. Guitar Center owes Fender so much money. Someone says.
They always say that. No, everybody always says that, and it's probably true and not true at the same time. No one knows for sure.
Yeah.
When I opened my store in 2005, I was told then Guitar Center would be dead in a year, and then every year after that, right?
People are just, it's like watching well, that's not even the good analogy. It's just people always want to see the person who's at the top get knocked down. That's just for whatever reason. It's just human. I don't know why that is human nature, but that is human nature for whatever reason. Someone said, "Remember Mars Music?" I do remember Mars Music.
I do remember that too. Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
I know. I actually the studio where I take my my band practices is owned by the guy who used to own Mars Music.
Oh.
So his name is Mark something. Yeah, so they used to have the studio. There was these practice studios that were tied to it and everything like that. But supposedly he's a wealthy guy.
If you look at Mars Music, one interesting thing about them, when they went out of business and they filed bankruptcy, they put a pretty good damage on the manufacturers. You know, right? There was a lot of manufacturers that had to live through that mess. And one thing I always remind people when they give you the "I hope Guitar Center closes," I'm like, I always remind them that Guitar Center is so colossally big compared to what Mars was, right? And I know the industry is bigger, but per capita, I think Guitar Center has been able to grow way bigger per capita.
It's going to hurt manufacturers.
Yes, it's going to be a pain, right?
Yes, because they're going to be stuck in limbo, and they owe them money, and good luck.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's hope that doesn't happen.
Yeah, right. I agree.
Yeah, that's a great point that I didn't even think about, Phil.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we're going to wrap it up. Phil, it was awesome to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for taking the time to wrap up Summer NAMM with us and talk about it. Some of the other highlights, at least for me, were some of those Friedman guitars, Dave. Yeah, some really nice ones.
They are fantastic. I was playing one because I didn't know until I watched the show that you had Grover Jackson building them.
Yeah.
And they're fantastic, right?
Which ones did you play?
So I don't know the names. In fact, after I was at the show, I went online and I started looking online.
Well, it's the vintage T is the telly shape thing.
Okay, so that's the one I like.
And the Cali is the more Charvel based instrument.
Right. I like the vintage T. That's the one I was just digging. It feels great, right?
Yeah, it's good. Yeah. Did you play it at the show?
Yeah, I picked it up. Well, I picked it up and I was touching it. When I was there on Thursday afternoon, Brian was there and it was really dead.
Oh, okay.
Right? So I was just talking to Brian and I was picking up and we were talking about that, you know, right? And then later, I think it was on Friday when I bumped into Mark, I think that's when I was talking to a store and a bunch of people, and that's when I was telling them that they were made. I learned from your show that they were made by Grover Jackson, and all I cared about, so when I was at the show, is I just wanted to wrap my hand around the neck.
Right.
Everything else I could learn from a website, but you can't. Right? You can't.
Yeah, how it feels.
Yeah, and that's the only thing that stinks about online, right? Sweetwater,
especially
I can find the weight.
Yep.
Yeah, I can find the weight. I get the concept. Right? But it's just that neck. So the neck felt great. So I know that's on my my list now.
Yep, it's been on my list too. Yeah, they're great guitars and
fantastic.
Yeah, they feel great. That's the thing. They have that vintage feel to it, but yet still modern.
Plus
vintage feel with modern playability. That was always sort of my thought of them. And some people like aged guitars, some people don't like aged guitars, but you know what? That's kind of how you make it feel old. I mean, you got to feel worn in, and if there's lacquer on the neck and everything, for me, I don't care for it that much, but I understand that someone wants a pretty guitar too, which we can do that. We can do that also. So
there you go.
I also love the headstock. I don't know why. I just think I love the two-tone, the black with the.
I love the headstock.
Yeah.
And speaking of that, you know what? When you go around NAMM and you see a lot of the different builders, the smaller boutique builders, and you compare people's headstocks.
Yeah.
There's something to be said about having a unique design and having something that stands out. I liked Whitfill, his headstock. It still had the kind of vintage vibe to it and had his own little take on it. And especially from the back, it looked different. But Dave, yours, I don't know who designed it, but but the beveled look, with the Friedman.
Love it.
Here's the thing. I mean, it's really, really hard to design a headstock that doesn't, that isn't, you know, a Fender headstock or Gibson headstock, which you can't use.
Right.
So you got to come up with something, and as long as people don't hate it, I'm happy. Well, you know, and the unanimous decision, the unanimous, everyone seems to be unanimous about the fact they like it. So I really don't ever hear anyone that goes, I hate it. You know, I hate the headstock, which is fine. I'm okay. Enough people like it where I'm good with it. It's good. You know, I like it.
Well,
too.
I'll give you an example. I'll give you an example of a company that is asking astronomical money for their guitars. And we all know the guy who just recently got them, Henning Pauly, right? Yeah. So Henning was talking about Macmul guitars.
Yeah, Macmul.
Okay. And they're beautiful guitars. And when I heard it being played, I was like, yeah, it sounds great. But the headstock on it is just like a plank of wood.
Well, it's not even that. You're absolutely right, but you're hitting it right on the head. Like I like John Suhr guitars a lot. His guitars are great. But the only thing I've said this, I say it all the time on my channel. The only reason I don't own a Suhr guitar, as silly as I feel saying it, is it looks like he took the Fender headstock and he just took a saw to it. You're right.
Well, and in actuality, it's very similar to the original Kramer headstock.
Right. Yeah. So the point is that a lot of the, you know, like what Dave's saying about how, you know, you got to make something unique. I find most people, and I don't mean this in a disrespectful way, but it feels like they just took the normal traditional headstocks and they cut a piece off of it.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's what I liked about your shape, and then the two-tone. It was like when I look at it, like Mark's saying, I'm sitting there going, yeah, who does this look like? Right. And I can't. And I'm like, well, I guess it just looks like a Friedman.
Yeah, great. You know, but it's beveled.
It's great. It's great.
Yes.
You're like, as long as you like it.
Yeah,
exactly.
I'll take it.
No, it's unique. It's unique because when I looked at the Macmul, I was like, you couldn't come up with anything better than that. Yeah, but I don't mind the Suhr headstocks. I think they're fine. G&L, I like their headstocks. I think they're fine. Although I don't like the Les Paul style headstocks, or I prefer their S style headstocks better personally, from G&L. But good stuff. Phil, before we run, I wanted you to promote your stuff. Where can people find you and find your show and find your channel and all that stuff?
Easy enough. You can go on YouTube and just type in Phillip McKnight or Know Your Gear. Either one takes you to the channels. So that's the best way to check it out. And it's just a channel. I just review stuff, but mostly just we talk about gear, all kinds of gear stuff.
Yeah, you got great videos. You're featured in Guitar World and on their page sometimes, and what other publication? I forget. Premier.
Yeah, not Premier. It's like Guitar Player. We'll do it. Guitar World. Ultimate Tabs. We'll do it a lot. A bunch of other sites. You know. So stuff like that. I tend to find my stuff every day. It's kind of like a fun thing to search to see where it got put. And it gets,
right.
And it gets put out there a lot.
Where am I being distributed?
Yeah, just curious to see who's sharing what, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good.
That's great.
And Dave, anything you want to? Any last words?
No. I mean, now, you know, hey, I'm still burnt out a little bit from Nashville, so.
Yeah, it was a long trip, and
and then I went straight into work on Tuesday, so. So you know, and I got home at 11:30 or so at night, and then straight to work the next morning. So, you know, it's not like I get a couple-day breather. So
no.
And then of course you go straight into work where you're putting out fires and trying to, you know, just get everyone squared away.
So now, are you back on? Are you going to be planted there for a while, or any upcoming shows or anything for you?
I am not going anywhere for a while, I don't think.
Okay.
I think the next time I'm going anywhere might be in November. I might be going to Europe, and
I heard about that.
Visiting all the dealers and doing a show at a dealer over there, Music Productive.
Huh.
So,
very cool.
So I think that's the next time I'm going anywhere.
All right. Well, we'll make announcements soon for the next upcoming show for Tone Talk, who our guests are going to be.
Yeah, we got to figure it out.
Yes, we'll be talking on who the upcoming people are and all that.
For all of you guys that think we plan way far ahead, yeah, that's not.
We
true.
don't. There's no planning. There's no planning.
There's no planning.
Actually, there's a little bit of planning, just a little bit here. But yeah, we'll have a upcoming guest soon. We'll figure out who's coming.
Mark is struggling with that. Mark seems to be a planner, and I'm more a seat of the pants sort of guy. So I'm just like, well, we'll figure it out. It'll work.
It's all right. I'm learning to relax. I need to be more relaxed.
There you go.
It's important.
Yeah.
So
yes,
less stress.
And hey, actually there is one more thing. I guess we all know the loss of Chester Bennington from Lincoln Park, and I just want to say I wish his family well. I did a lot of work with those guys over the years, and I know a lot of people are affected by it. So
yeah, it's pretty bad. His son used to work for me.
Oh yeah,
and he used to come in my shop. Yeah, because his son took lessons there, and then he worked for me.
Wow.
So he was the nicest guy. Just the nicest guy. One of the things I remember as soon as I heard today, I was just telling my wife, he used to buy guitars from us, and I'd always joke, you don't need to buy guitars, right? You just
right.
And he would make jokes, like, I'm the singer. Those companies aren't going to give me anything, right? But we knew he was just supporting small business.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's great. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just a testament to what kind of nice guy he was.
Right.
Yeah, that's sad to hear.
Yeah, I was shocked earlier today. So
yeah, me too.
Yeah,
it's very shocking. Yeah, so I literally heard about it right towards the end of the day. So
yeah, so for whoever's affected by this, I condolences to everyone.
Yes.
Yep. All right, well, guys, keep a lookout for announcements on the next upcoming show. Check out Phil's channel, Know Your Gear, or Phil McKnight on YouTube. You can find him on Twitter and on Facebook and Instagram and every other app you can think of. So you guys have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you soon. You guys take care, and just hang on one second while I end the show. Take care, everybody. Everybody in the chat.
All right.
If I didn't get to you, my bad. I'll get to you next time. Have a great one, guys. Take care.